Let's talk. TMZ just released an article about Gypsy's lawsuit with April Johns. So it says Gypsy Rose Blanchard sues blogger, claims release of medical records. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is fuming over the blogger's alleged trashing her and her family's name after planned partnership went south, and now she's taking the woman to court. Let's speak about the details. Now, I personally think this is a bad move on Gypsy Rose's part, especially considering right now is when her show is getting ready to launch rather. It's going to cause people to start digging. And when you dig, you'll find the information that you're looking for, right? It's piquing people's curiosity. So I just don't think that this was a great decision on her part. Maybe the timing, if she would have done this months ago, maybe it would have been better when people were all Team Gypsy. But right now, I don't think the timing is correct, and I think this could kind of sabotage her. But let's get to the details of why this is happening and what is being alleged and what we think could possibly happen. I did read most of the motion that was filed. You can find it on Missouri.net. All of the information comes up right there. We'll also attach a screen recording of the actual court documents that were filed. Now, it's alleged that April Johns, in these court documents, signed a contract with the Blanchards. Now, here is where things start to get a bit shifty. The contract that was signed was under her alias, which was Fancy Marcelli, I believe. Now, Fancy Marcelli is not her real name. That is an alias. Her real name is April Johns. Signing a contract with misrepresenting who you are is illegal to begin with. But I heard someone said that she said a lot of people do it in the industry. Now, people do it, but they do it as DBAs. So this is who I'm going under, but doing business as. That was not the case. So she did misrepresent who she was, but it's also Christy Blanchard's fault for not fact-checking, right? Now, these are things that Fancy did say. She went by Fancy. She goes by Fancy now. So this doesn't really seem to be alleged, but I'm not sure. So now there's that issue. The contract that was signed, it alleges that she was supposed to return the medical records after the end of the contract. That did not take place. The contract has been ended, and allegedly she's been weaponizing her medical records. Now, the issue that's really going to lie is that even though she's weaponizing her medical records and she's done some things that were really crooked, it's kind of a little catch-22. The reason why it's a catch-22 is there's a lot of information out there verifying that a lot of Gypsy's story is not real, and a lot of it was fabricated. So her opening this up with Fancy having the actual proof could cause people to start searching and to see that there's a lot of untruths in her story, and that's where I feel like it's a catch-22. So Fancy may get vindicated by the fact that there's all these things that aren't being honest, but the reality is Fancy did, or there's proof of, this is alleged, that she sold her medical records online. Let's look at the facts. This is one of the exhibits that they used in the motion, and it says, you guys can't see, it says cut off. It does say Good Wives Network, which is what Fancy owns. And it says that, in addition, we have finally released some of the exclusive records only our team has obtained. Legally and ethically, we've released redacted versions of three documents totaling over 240 pages. These documents can be found in our Patreon on the $30 level. Now, also it says, if you look further down, it says the medical records sent to Fancy and her team of medical professionals on a wild goose chase. This is all in there, right? So she basically has a Patreon, allegedly, and in this Patreon, there's different levels that you can purchase, and the information is there to be released. So technically, she's charging for it, which is unethical and illegal. Now, this is not a HIPAA violation because she is not a healthcare professional being paid for her services. HIPAA violation only applies to healthcare professionals being paid for their services. After seeing this, I thought to myself, well, is there actual proof that she has these memberships, or is this just being written, right? Like, you have to still prove it. Even though you can find this, is there proof? Well, this is another exhibit. Here, it also mentions the documents in each part of the subscription. So when you think about it, this is unethical, right? Now, granted, Gypsy has been dishonest about a lot of things, but this is still frowned upon. I actually did not know about this until yesterday. I actually heard another content creator was doing this as well, but that creator does not have a contract with the family or never had a contract with the family. So this was shocking to me because I didn't know that this was going on up until yesterday when I looked at the exhibits, and you could see this says Exhibit G2. There's another exhibit number 1, I guess, so I did it backwards. It says The Good Wives Network Guide to True Crime, and this actually is where they would obtain the crime scene photos. Now, I believe selling the crime scene photos is completely unethical. And if you know much about my page, right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm not going to debate whether someone feels like I'm throwing another creator under the bus. No, my page has been a true page. I have always spoke on the truth. I've told you guys what's happening, and I'm loyal to the truth. That's who I'm loyal to. I'm not loyal to anyone but the truth. And if I was doing things like this and someone put me out there, then you know what? All is fair, because I did something that was unethical, regardless of the fact that these people are unethical. Here's the thing. If you lay in the bed with dogs, you catch fleas, right? So it's the same thing. They are one in the same, which is why this has been such an issue. Now, granted, Christy didn't do her due diligence. Gypsy may not have really known what was going on. I don't know. I mean, she was able to plot her mom's unaliving, so she probably did know what was going on. However, there's a lot of nuances to this. Now, I do believe that the Blanchards have a case. The real issue is going to come about is, yes, it's going to expose the truth, but at what expense for the Blanchards, right? Because exposing the truth, there's these court documents with these untruths, and then here's these medical records with the truth that are still out there. I don't know who's right or wrong, but I know at this point there's a lot of things that are being done on both sides of the spectrum that are unethical, and we can only really look at the receipts, right? That's where we can kind of like draw our own conclusion. So yes, I do think Fancy did some things that weren't correct, but I also think the Blanchards have done things that are unethical this entire time, and this is just going to be something that's going to play out and make everybody look crazy, but it's going to be at their own expenses, because they're going to sue Fancy, and how much are they going to really get? So personal opinion is, I think that it's going to end up costing them more in the long run, especially as far as this show, because it's going to end up outing them. I mean, they may obviously be able to prove that Fancy did do some unethical things, but I think it's one of those things they should have kind of let fly, because Christy should not have just handed off the medical records without verifying her business and who she was, but she did, and this is what's happened. I just think that if you weigh the pros and the cons, just letting Fancy do her thing, it would just work out better, because then the facts were never actually brought into the courts. You know what I'm saying? Because yes, the things, what she's being allegedly sued for can be proven, right? Allegedly. But it's just not, I just don't feel like it's worth, especially knowing that you have a lot of untruths that can be uncovered. That's just my opinion. So this all the way across the board could go bad, but I think especially because there was a contract signed, so this is not something where all content creators could be sued or anything like that. This is simply because of the fact that they had a contract. She had a contract specifically with the family. This is just my 2 cents on the situation. I do have knowledge on the law, and it's just an unfortunate situation. I kind of wish they would just both wash each other's hands and probably not take this into court. I just don't think it's a good idea all the way across the board. But I mean, it could be good for Nick, because them being exposed will vindicate Nick as well to an extent. So this could be great on that aspect, but I just feel like this is going to be very messy, and we just need to tune in. However, they are seeking a restraining order. They're also seeking funds for what has transpired, because it's loss of wages and all this other things. So that's really what's going on right now. But like I said, I think this seems very risky for the Blanchards, because I think Fancy has nothing to lose, and she's going to put it all out there, and it is what it is.